You're such an asshole.
So let me tell you a story about the before time. Before the interwebs kind of created a very wide array, universal, all encompassing, but loosely organized labor union where people say, hey, the internet's had a very interesting effect on providing communal knowledge. Like guys like, oh, there's something wrong with my school. I've talked about it before where you thought that there was something wrong with the girls in your school district. And then it wasn't until we hit the internet. We're like, oh, no, this is a nationwide thing going on. No, it's not me. It's not bad luck. The internet has had the same effect on workers where everyone's kind of like putting together the like, hey, did that happen to you? Did they say whatever digital engineer? And when you got there, you were just doing filing and faxing? Yeah. And people kind of started putting it together and realizing that employers, and someone was criticizing me like, I don't understand this generational analysis. Well, when you work for boomers, you will understand it. But boomer bosses, you've all of a sudden you start putting the data together. You were like, whoa, this was universal, and it was them. Was it? You should all go to the finger store, get the best and biggest finger you got, so you can point it squarely at boomer bosses because they deserve it. And you look at all these different things, and now we have kind of the Great Resignation. You got Josh Fluke, and if anything, it's vindicating. And now, oh no, see, we can't find the employees pay more. Whoa, that kind of thing. But I came across the previous video. I thought, and this is for the guy. This is an original. The guy paid for 10 originals, and I'm like, oh my god, job hopping. And I was like, does your generation even know that? Like, have you even been accused of that? Because now times are so tight. The boomers raised their children to be completely worthless liberal arts majoring jokes of human beings. Useless people with no skills or talents, but a sanctimonious attitude about their leftist politics. So they're not even part of the solution. They're not part of the labor force. Ain't no one showing up. And now that the wool has been lifted from everybody's eyes with the internet, and we're looking at them, and you say like, no, we're not gonna. You got to pay us enough to work, otherwise we're not getting out of bed in the morning. And I'm like, do they have you guys? The power has moved to the employees. Have any of you ever had the job hopping accusation? And so I better talk about it. Someone's got to be accused of it. You all have boomer parents, right? Whoa, you shouldn't be a job hopper. Well, then what you do is you grab that finger you got at the finger store, you put it on, the big expensive one, you point it right back at your boomer parents where say, oh, you're old, shut up, you're out of date, you don't know anything. You didn't have enough saved up for retirement. You're a financial failure, so please shut up. You don't have any authority here. Go away now. So let me tell you about job hopping. So before the internet, in the dark times, in the analog days, the logic was that if you had on your resume, you'd only work at a firm or employer for 3 months or under a year. Like, oh, you had to do at least a year, at least a year. You're unreliable and you were a job hopper. And the only explanation you were a job hopper was that you were bad. You were unloyal. You had flaws, your characteristics and all that. And the problem with that is very simple. The job sucked. That's why people job hopped. And it showed you how myopic or one-sided the labor market was back then. It was the employers were infallible. They could do no wrong. And they're very similar to dating in a certain way, that the women were the ones, like, they could do no wrong. And if you weren't a good enough man, if you didn't know, well, then it was your fault. You're a bad employer. You're unreliable. It's like, no, when you have a lopsided environment like that, where one side has all the power, Michael's iron law of oligarchy, they all become corrupt. And that's what happened in the boomer employer days, where the employers had all the jobs, they had all the power. They could treat their employees like crap. We didn't know. And so here you are put in this impossible situation. It's very much, let me ask you this. A girl is dating a physically legit, no joke, abusive guy. right? Physical violence. Let's not do he hurt my fees and financial, financial abuse. He didn't give me his money. But a no joke, toxic, unhealthy, bad, dangerous relationship. And she dated him for a month. They're like, whoa, this is bad. And she got out of here. Would you? Oh, you're a job hopper or a relationship hopper. You're not loyal. It's like, no, it was an unacceptable environment. It was an unacceptable arrangement or relationship. And that's what it was back in the day. How, and until literally quite literally, 2-3 years ago, the relationship between employer and employees were unacceptable. And I'm no big Democrat. I'm a big time libertarian, Republican, conservative type. But we can count the ways. But one, these employers irrationally demanding you kids go into debt and ruin your financial lives to get way more education than what you need to do a job that 2 weeks of training would have done. Two, and this is currently still to this day and more recent, all this political training and indoctrination that has nothing to do with the production of the good or service that you want. Three, also more, it just keeps getting worse. And here we go, job hopper. You're promoting women and minorities over men and not minorities because it's politically popular. It's a marketing gig. It's a marketing strategy. And then even before that, forcing people to commute. Not one place that I go to where they're on the up and up. Like, here's what you got to do. Lying about the job description, lying about the job title, coming in like, oh, we know we said you were going to do these duties, but here's what we need you to do now. The ad hoc duties. I don't know if you remember those in job descriptions. 25% this, 20% that, 30% that, and 15% ad hoc. Meaning, oh, well, whatever we throw at you. And then it ends up being 90% ad hoc, and the stuff that you originally signed up on the job for wasn't there to begin with. Oh, yeah, we're just going to have you file in facts. I even, reneging on previous agreements, I remember. Wells Fargo, right there. Think you guys got more problems with setting up fake credit card accounts for your clients. How much more government money do you need? You need a little bit more government money? Screw you guys. Where I had the agreement, I could come in anywhere, anytime I want, do my work. As long as I get 40 hours in, I'm good to go. And they come in, well, people are complaining that you're leaving on nice days. Too bad they didn't negotiate that. Sucks to be them, I guess. Well, okay, bye. Are you having trouble finding employees, Wells Fargo? How's that going? Little side note, I remember applying for a job at Wells Fargo, and this boomer woman got my resume there. And she literally said, I got 1,000 resumes like this a day. Why are you any different? You guys are a dime a dozen. And it told me she didn't look at my resume. I'm like, oh, really? So then you got everyone, thousands, everyone that applied for this job, worked full-time, went to school full-time, graduated super high honors, and did it 6 months early with no help from the parents. That really? And has 3 internships under the belt. Really? Is that, very okay. Wow. I didn't know my competition was that stiff. Yeah. How's it going now, guys? But whatever it is, and again, go to Josh Fluke's channel. You can still see to this day the mentally ill, psychopathic, egomaniacal, wicked and evil attitude employers have, even to this day, where you're like, this is not acceptable. It would be the modern day equivalent of a guy just beating the crap out of his girlfriend, and then everyone's like, I can't believe you left. Oh, that's not loyalty. Like, and so I was wondering if it even is a thing anymore. Like, you shouldn't job hop. No, it's real simple. You either treat me well and pay me enough that's like, no, I'm going to stay here. The previous one I had, the guy's more than adequately paid. Boston team work well. And he's like, should I go to another place for more money? I'm like, no, man, just stay there for now. Things are good. That's a good, healthy environment. But man, for every one of those, 1,000, 100 at least, of just not like that. And what really perturbed me is I actually felt bad. My chair, we felt bad, like, I'm not loyal. I'm not good enough. Why? Because you don't tolerate abusive BS? Because you don't tolerate like a low paying job and a boss that's mentally ill? And then, of course, this created the problem back in the day, where you could job hop all you want, and you thought the grass was greener on the other side. And we weren't talking like, well, the grass is greener on the other side, but like hoping like, hopefully the grass isn't crap brown, like dried out brown. Like maybe the grass is edible, or there's some patches of green grass on the other side because I need to like pay rent. And then you go there, nope, it was just another. Now a lot of that, I'll admit, was I was in banking. Banking was a horrendously corrupt and inept industry, and still is to this day. But that's what would happen. It wasn't, oh, the employees are job hopping or they're unloyal. Like, no, you boomer bosses were mentally ill, evil psychopaths. And you're manipulative and you didn't pay. And you're like, oh, job hopper. And so it's kind of like keeping your kid. A lot of analogy there, actually, because boomers are treating their children somewhat like this, but also treating their employees like this, where you kind of lied to the children. Where how would it go? You'd accuse the kids of job hopping, but then like the kids were never good enough. Although in that sense, it was good because you want them to get A's. Nothing would be good enough. But there was never an objective goal to meet. So some parents just like making their kids suffer and constantly fretting and worrying. Like, oh, you didn't clean your room perfectly. I don't know if you guys ever had those anal retentive parents. I didn't really have that, but the kind of power hungry parents. And so there's always a flaw, always something wrong. And it's not because they want you to do your best. It's because they want to lord power over you. They're saying that's your boomer bosses. And so if you're growing up in that environment, you actually think you're the one that's at fault. I can say this, that does happen in religious environments where you're always sinning. You want to play with the red truck. Oh, you're a sinner. You're going to burn in hell. Like everything, you're always compared to perfection of Jesus Christ. That's what it's like working in the days. And it never dawned on these assholes. The reason people are job hopping is because you're abusive, you're dicks, and the job sucks. And usually, pay was one thing, okay? Yeah, we could always use more pay. Look, if you're going to pay us crap, can you at least be a competent boss and not have mental problems and not change the job description or the lies? Can you make it so we can functionally work here? Nope. It was always a bleep show. Always a bleep show. And so what it was is job hopping. It really was like an abusive boyfriend or girlfriend, I guess, in the same sense. They couldn't admit they were wrong. They had to blame the other person. And that is very true about bosses. They can never admit that they're the ones like high turnover. You probably got a bad boss. You should fire them. Like, geez, these employees aren't sticking around. Yeah, you should probably get a new boss. Oh, no. But just in case you're accused of it, in case you don't want to be a job hopper, look who it's coming from. Is it coming from some old gray hair? Tell them to shut up. Labor market's tight. People aren't paying enough. Finally got a little bit of it. It's like, no, you're going to treat us right. And if you're ever in an abusive, this is why you always have 6 months FU money. It's why you always have a leg in self-employment or another job opportunity. It's always why you have a secondary job like I did, either, teaching dance classes or finance classes or doing security work. So that if you ever get into this toxic environment, you can leave. And the other thing, what's great about job hopping, it's no different than dating. You date, I mean, I think by 30, I had 26 jobs because I didn't tolerate this boomer crap. You'll also find your calling. You'll find the right girl. You'll find the right guy. You'll find the right job or the career, kind of like this weird internet thing. You will find it. But for those of you who don't, who suffer under that, oh man, working in that environment, that's like living under a communist regime. The horse that always plowed away an Animal Farm. You don't want to be that. It's better to be a job hopper and find out where you belong. You got another job offer, didn't you? And especially now. No, we can't find employees. I don't know how many times the economists, I got to tell you guys to raise your pay. Raise your pay, get rid of the psychopathic bosses, be honest with your employees, and do some training and see if your turnover goes down. In the meantime, people are going to leave. People are going to go for greener pastures. They're going to go to their competitors. And you're going to have this efficiency loss of constantly recruiting and hiring, and then they leave. We can't find employees. We have to shut down. That's your boss's problem. You should have poached more. You raise your prices and pay your employees more. I don't have an MBA, but it just seems to me. So there you go. Any super chats? I got a couple super chats in the audience today. Back in my day. Adrian Paul, 2 pounds. Greetings. Rarely catch you live here. Live. So here is a super chat out of South Carolina. Thank you, Adrian. Kind of look like a Paul. What's his name? Tom Cruise. Cody C, 10 generous stars. Hey, Cappy, I just found your channel last week. I like that when people just find my channel and give me $10. Those are good people. Good quality people right there. By God, we're coming up on 100,000. 100,000 people, they all give me $10. I have $1 million. For 10 generous stars. Hey, Cap, you just found your channel last week, and I wish I had found it years ago because, man, it is a gold mine. K through 12 teachers, guidance counselors, and MSM were absolutely useless. Thank you for your work. Your guidance counselors are complete jokes. Complete jokes. Hat and clogs, $2. But Cappy, it's just a little turd in the punch bowl. It's just a little feces in your sandwich. I know we said you do X, but we're going to have you do Y. It's just a little turd. I remember going to Bremer Bank. Now, you can't accuse modern day Bremer Bank of this. This is when I was 19 years old. I went there. I was going to be an analyst, intern. All they had me do, I wore a suit and I would drive a long distance to get 80 sleep. All they had me do was file. This is before digital, like the actual paper files. They just had me organize files. I'm like, screw you. Hat and clogs, $5. I agree with you, Cappy. Treat yourself. Thank you. I don't know what I'm going to treat myself to today. I'm just going to go. I got to go get mail, I guess. I get some coffee. I got to buy caulk. Not cock, caulk. Yeah. I got to pull some weeds and move some rocks. That's the lots of excitement in Cappy World. Vince, $5. The boomers just want to complain about the youngins because it distracts from the fact that they ruined America. I don't even think they have the cognizance or the intelligence among them, let alone the intellectual honesty to admit that. And in perfect honesty, the children they raised, millennials and Zoomers, they're like, I'm sympathetic with them in that corporate America treats them like crap, and there's no, but it's kind of like, hey, grow up now. Okay, I know your parents lied to you. I know, boo. All right, you got to do something about it now. And the arrogance of the millennial generation, like they knew so much better than everybody else with their liberal arts degree. Oh, by the way, can I get a student loan bailout? So inevitably you transition from a child and the victim to someone who is now like, look, you're here, you're responsible. You got to figure this out. But it wasn't my fault. No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. But here's the problem. Do you want to solve it? I'm going to cry some more and vote Democrat a little bit more. Even though it was literally Democrat advice that you followed and ruined your life. Oh, you did what your teachers, Barack Obama, Democrat politicians, and your professors all told you to do. Oh, okay. And it's the Republicans in the Senate's fault. Oh, all right. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, there you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. Link below is Bachelor Pad Economics if you need a little bit of advice on your career and your finances. the Financial Advice Bible for men and women that are brave enough to read it, which I know you won't because it says, spend less than you make. But isn't there a way I could spend more than I make? And then I get bailed out when I file for bankruptcy, or a rich man bails me out. Yeah, I guess you do have that option, don't you? Handbags. All right, see you guys later, Toodles.